Oh my gosh. Where do I even start? Donald Trump has activated the National Guard in Washington, D.C. Ashley Williams, a former aide to Joe Biden, says that she cannot remember whether or not she ever had to wake the president up to start the day. CNN has been caught lying about the ethnicity of a mass shooter in New York because they were too afraid to admit that he was a person of color. And of course, we've got the Epstein files. So many things to talk about, let's not waste any more time. I'm Luke Garnett, and this is The Logre Show. No point beating around the bush, let's jump straight into Epsteingate. It is complete chaos on the internet, so many opinions and ideas being tossed around, so after looking at the evidence, or lack thereof, here's my consensus. Fox News asked Pam Bondi if she was going to be releasing a full and complete list of people who were directly involved in a sex trafficking operation led by the now dead Jeffrey Epstein. And Pam Bondi said that it was sitting on her desk right now to review. Later, her spokesperson said that what she meant was that she had a bunch of files related to Epstein on her desk, but not necessarily an exact list of people directly involved. And ever since then, she and Donald Trump have been trying to dodge any and all questions related to the Epstein files. As you can imagine, a lot of people are very mad, which is why President Trump is only just starting to recover from the worst approval ratings he has had so far this term, according to Real Clear Politics. Many of my fellow conservatives spent a while demanding that Pam Bondi resign immediately, but most of them have since moved on to other matters, which I will be talking about later. For now, let me say that I believe that everything that has come out of this scandal, the bad publicity, the massive outcry from both the right and the left, all of it is 100% Pam Bondi's fault. Now, I used to hold a very favorable opinion of Pam Bondi. I generally love the way she handles things. I especially like how she handled the Tesla situation in March. Maybe she was overconfident, thinking that she would be able to release a bunch of the documents earlier than she was ultimately able to. But again, the Fox News commentator was really clear. His exact words, quote, "The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?" And she responded with, "It's sitting on my desk right now to review." I don't understand that. Call it an innocent misunderstanding, or intentionally being misleading. Regardless, I think we can all agree that Pam Bondi screwed up big time, and every bit of criticism she is getting right now is 100% deserved. Should she resign? I don't know. Like I said, her work up until now has been excellent, but if she resigns today, I'm not going to throw a fit about it. But if she does stay, she's got to show me that she has learned from this experience, and I would really appreciate a formal apology directly from her. If things don't quiet down soon, I think she will ultimately have to resign in the end. And the Democrats will probably find some way to get mad at that too. Speaking of Democrats being angry, a lot of people are now saying that Trump is a pedophile. Their justification for this is that he is listed among the many Epstein files that have already been released. I have fact-checked this. Donald Trump is indeed in the Epstein files. His phone number was in Epstein's contact book, along with Epstein's family members. They've also apparently been photographed together in the past. So apparently that makes Trump a pedophile. Which, when you think about it, is kind of the same thing as saying that if I spend a lot of my time with a lawyer, then that automatically, indisputably means that I am a lawyer too. And another thing, according to NPR, the first criminal investigation into Epstein's behavior happened in March of 2005. In July of 2006, he was charged with prostitution of a minor. In 2008, he pled guilty to 2 state charges regarding prostitution. And even though people knew that Donald Trump was connected to Jeffrey Epstein, they never pointed a finger at him. What, Donald Trump's associated with Epstein? That's a little interesting, but it's not exactly breaking news. So if you're so worried about Donald Trump being a pedophile, why did you wait an entire 2 decades to bring it up? That is really important information. I really wish you would have told us sooner. Why did you never bring it up? I'm serious. Why did you wait so long to bring it up? That is very important information. We would have liked to know that. Sure, you're bringing it up now. Well, he's the president now. Fat lot of good that does us. Democrats. When it comes to disappointing, you guys never disappoint. Also, slight tangent, you know who else is in the Epstein files? Bill Clinton! Why aren't you asking him for answers? Perhaps this news does not surprise you? Maybe you already had a feeling that this is the kind of thing he would be involved with? Again, innocent until proven guilty, but it's kind of suspicious how you Democrats are so unsurprised that Bill Clinton is in the files. Just saying. Alright, enough about the Epstein files. We got a lot to get to. Let's move right along. Now, we all know that the Biden administration did a terrible job. They did everything they could to tear down the country. We all knew what they were doing, and we knew it was bad, but what's even more amazing is how many bad things they did without us knowing. Like, you look at the evidence that is coming in right now, and it is just mind-boggling to think that these people were in charge of the country for 4 whole years, and we somehow managed to survive. Alicia Hopper is the founder of an organization called Guard Against Trafficking, and she did a little research into what the administration actually did. So this was her testifying before the House Homeland Security Committee. Just a reminder, this is not an ex-Biden aide who is now seeing the error of their ways. No, she's from a non-profit organization that actually helps people. So here she was talking about undocumented children that the Biden administration kept letting into the country illegally.
Under the last administration, what safeguards were put in place to protect vulnerable, unaccompanied children?
I previously discussed the post-placement welfare checks, which consisted of 2 phone calls. Again, if the sponsor didn't answer, the case was no longer followed up on. But there was also a notice of concern hotline where people could report concerns about the unaccompanied child's safety. But what this administration found was from August 2023 to January of 2025, 65,000 calls went unanswered. Those calls spanned from, complaints about stale bread all the way to being abused, to one case where a child's call was reporting that grown men were coming into his room at night and they were touching him. Nothing happened with that call. That call went unanswered until this administration took office, went through those 65,000 calls, made follow-ups, conducted a welfare check, and now that child has been rescued and that sponsor has been arrested.
Once again, these people were in charge of the country for 4 whole years, and we lived to tell the tale. So pretty insane story. 65,000 calls unanswered. And you know something crazy? That's not even the worst part. Guess how many people the Biden administration had monitoring the hotline? Uno. 1 person was assigned to answer the calls from August 2023 to January 2025. 1 person. I used to think that Democrats only cared about illegal immigrants, but I'm starting to wonder if they even care about them. 1 guy. I kind of feel bad for him. I mean, my sympathy is limited because he decided to work for the Biden administration, so he kind of knew what he was getting into, but I feel like he at least wanted to help these kids, even if they were here illegally. I feel like he at least wanted to be there for them, and he couldn't. It's a real shame. Luckily, as Hopper previously mentioned, the Trump administration has done checks on all of the kids, they have made the proper arrests, and I think I speak for all conservatives when I say that that is exactly what I voted for. It is also exactly what the Democrats voted against. Next big story, this one's from Fox News. You might want to sit down for this one. Quote, Ashley Williams, a longtime ally of former President Joe Biden, met with House investigators behind closed doors for nearly 6 hours Friday as Republicans probe allegations the Democrats' top aides hid his mental decline. A source familiar with the transcribed interview told Fox News Digital that Ashley Williams said she did not recall various things an untold number of times. Examples include she could not recall if she spoke with President Biden in the last week, if teleprompters were used for cabinet meetings, if there were discussions about President Biden using a wheelchair, if there were discussions about a cognitive test, if she discussed a mental or physical decline of President Biden, if she ever had to wake President Biden up, and how she got involved with his 2020 campaign. So apparently this longtime ally of Biden could not remember if she did any of those things. She didn't say yes, they happened. She didn't say no, they didn't happen. She said, I can't remember. You were apparently very close to the president, and you cannot remember if you ever talked with somebody about whether or not he should be put in a wheelchair. I feel like that's something you would remember. But here's the best part. You're gonna love this. After she said, "I don't recall" to all of these questions, so after she said, "I don't recall if I ever discussed with anybody about whether or not we should put Biden in a wheelchair," quote, Williams told House investigators, "Biden is fit to be president today." This interview happened almost 2 months after we were told Biden had prostate cancer. I cannot believe how little the Democrats have learned from the last election. I would have thought that they would have at least changed their strategy a little bit. But no, they've just been doing the same thing they've been doing for years. They are just standing with the minority on every single issue. And as we've already proven, that never works out. I cannot believe it. Now, when leftists and conservatives as well use the term fake news, I feel like what they're trying to imply is that the news article they are referring to is completely false. It doesn't have any of the facts. It just makes stuff up. So it is all fake. And while there are many articles like that out there, it is a lot more common for a news article to have basically all of the truth, but the truth is very, very well hidden. Like at the very bottom of the article, it's just referenced to as something vague, like, I don't know, this could be important, probably not. But if you dig deep enough into these mainstream media articles, there is usually enough truth for you to be able to understand something that the article writers don't want you to understand. So you gotta do the work if you want to find out the whole story. So it's still misleading, but the facts are there. Well, I guess the mainstream media has decided that that is not going to work anymore, so now they have just resorted to straight up making stuff up. You may have heard about the shooting in New York City about a month ago. According to CNN, just one day before the attack, New York City Mayor Eric Adams said that the city had experienced the lowest number of shootings and homicides in the recorded history of the city. Quote, "We accomplished that task because if guns are not on the street, they cannot be used to harm innocent people, and we accomplished that." One day later, and Manhattan has been hit by, quote, "the deadliest gun attack in New York City over the past 25 years. A man shot 5 people, killing 4, and then took his own life." According to the New York Post, security camera footage of the gunman was released immediately after the incident, and it clearly shows that he was wearing sunglasses, he had a mustache, he was carrying an AR-15 assault rifle. It also shows that he had a dark complexion. The police description said that he was possibly Middle Eastern, and here is how CNN interpreted the findings.
They know he is a male, possibly white. He's wearing sunglasses. He appears to have a mustache. And that picture has been distributed to every police officer in New York City.
So there's a picture that has been distributed to every police officer in New York City. I would like to see this picture that you are referencing, because the picture I'm looking at clearly shows that he is definitely not white. So that isn't even the typical fake news you see from CNN, where they just try to hide the facts. This is them deliberately making stuff up. It's not racism, it's just the facts. The shooter was a person of color, and CNN decided that you didn't need to know about that. You know, that's just from the right side of the political aisle. Let's see what the leftists have to say about this. According to Snopes.com, quote, "CNN's chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst, John Miller, did describe the man as possibly white during a broadcast on July 28, 2025. Anchor Aaron Burnett reiterated that description shortly afterward during the broadcast. For this reason, we've rated the claim as correctly attributed." However, social media users' claims about CNN's coverage lacked context. The network provided the description of the gunman early in its coverage before he was identified. CNN has not said where they obtained this description. Wow. Broken record. It always comes back to the conservatives don't have all the context. They take everything literally. It is amazing. Okay, so what you're saying is, we don't know where CNN got the information, but you should still trust them. Okay, now, just here's a bit of advice. If a news company tells you something and they don't tell you where they're getting the information, that is usually a good indicator that they are lying about something, if not everything. You have to always, always, always cite your sources. This is journalism 101. Now, if you see an article that says they got it from a well-informed source who requested to remain anonymous, that doesn't mean they're lying. It is certainly better than nothing, but it should still be treated with caution. Speaking of, according to the New York Post, 3 sources who have allegedly worked with or for Jasmine Crockett in the past have now come out and said that she is both abusive and lazy. Quote, Crockett is not often found at her government-provided suite in the Longworth House office building, with one insider saying she prefers to work from her nearby luxury apartment building, sometimes for weeks on end. She is laying around her apartment, won't come into the office, and is really just indifferent to staff and will scream at them, the former aide said. She is never in the office and is very disengaged. She does her bullcrap that goes viral and then freaks out over the most random things. A second source close to Crockett's team added, it is widely known that she's not nice to staff and is just not really a dedicated member focused on constituents. She is focused almost entirely on being an influencer, not a member of Congress. You're stupid if you think so. So again, these are anonymous sources, so this doesn't necessarily prove anything. But if Crockett really has nothing to hide, then I don't see why we shouldn't launch an investigation. I mean, these are really serious accusations. If we find out that they're making stuff up, they're going to be in big trouble. Don't you want to see them go to prison for telling lies about you? Then let us have a look. Now, to be fair, this does bring back memories of when Trump's ex-aides would come forth and say that he's a dirtbag too. Now, obviously, I'm more convinced that the claims about Jasmine Crockett are true, but before I say that either claim is 100% true, I would like to see a bit more evidence. And now, we have the federal takeover of Washington, D.C. According to the Department of Defense, some 800 National Guard members have been mobilized to the area under Donald Trump's orders. Now, before we go any further, let us check to see whether or not Trump is breaking any laws or regulations by doing this. The District of Columbia Home Rule Act of 2013, Section 740, quote, notwithstanding any other provision of law, whenever the President of the United States determines that special conditions of an emergency nature exist which require the use of the Metropolitan Police Force for federal purposes, he may direct the mayor to provide him, and the mayor shall provide, such services of the Metropolitan Police Force as the President may deem necessary and appropriate. So, in short, Donald Trump absolutely has the authority to take federal control of the law enforcement in the District of Columbia if he thinks it is necessary. He can't do it forever, the maximum is 30 days, but he is absolutely allowed to do it. So, why is he doing it? For the same reason he did in Los Angeles. There is a massive crime problem. The left will tell you otherwise, but the numbers do not lie. According to CNN, in 2024, the murder rate for every 100,000 residents in Washington, D.C. was 27.5, which was higher than the murder rates of Bogota, Colombia, and Mexico City combined. It was almost 3 times higher than the national average. In the same year, a poll from the Washington Post found that 65% of DC residents viewed crime as either a very serious or extremely serious problem. But the people on the left have good news. This year, crime in Washington, D.C. has actually dropped to the lowest level in 30 years. So in reality, there is no crime problem. No. Just because crime is going down doesn't mean there still isn't a major crime problem. Like, just because the number is decreasing doesn't mean that it is irrelevant now. Now, looking at the data that shows the crime rate in DC, it shows a lot of fluctuation, a lot of ups and downs. Right now, it does show that the amount of crime is declining, but it is still so much higher than the national average. It just looks so alarming. Like, can we all agree that the capital city of a country should be one of the safest places in that country? When I go to the capital city of a country, I expect the security everywhere to be watertight. If somebody commits a crime, I want them to be behind bars within hours. But Washington, D.C. has had an unbelievably high crime rate for decades. And Muriel Bowser, the current mayor of Washington, D.C., who is extremely liberal, has been in office for more than 10 years. And crime, regardless of whether or not it's gone up or down, is still a serious problem. So, I'm sorry, we're intervening. You have had 10 years to fix up the city, and you clearly don't know what you're doing. You really expect me to believe that there isn't a crime problem when your chief of police is like this?
Is what the chain of command is now? What does that mean? Well, is it?
She doesn't even know what the chain of command means.
How does this work?
So, at the executive
And now somebody
order,
pushes
it's
her out of the way
clear,
and tries to repair the damage.
president
So, yeah, we're taking it from here. As we've already established, we have every right to do so. Let's see what the MeidasTouch program has to say about this.
In moments, he will be making this announcement where it is believed he will be deploying at least 1,000 National Guard troops, potentially Marines and other military, turning the Washington, D.C. Area into a militarized zone, making it look like Kim Jong-un's North Korea.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh. Let's get back to it.
Making it look like Kim Jong-un's North Korea, making it look like Russia. A horrific sight is about to unfold.
Woo! Stupid people. Just stupid people. We got your stupid people right here, right now. You really think that this is going to make Washington, D.C. look like North Korea? Oh, let me see something. Where is the MeidasTouch network headquartered? Just as I suspected, Los Angeles, California, where there is an abundance of National Guard members. Not unlike Washington, D.C. So what you're saying is that Washington, D.C. is essentially going to become another Los Angeles, which, as you put it, has already become something equivalent to North Korea. Let me tell you something, Ben. I don't know what kind of rocks you've been living under your whole life, but clearly none of them have been in North Korea, because in North Korea, hosting a podcast is illegal. Making a YouTube channel is illegal. Expressing your hatred for the government is illegal. If you watch a movie from South Korea, you get executed. They punish your entire family for up to 3 generations. You want to know how Donald Trump got reelected? I'll tell you how he got reelected. It was because of you. It was because of people like you making yourself look stupid by telling us that Trump was going to turn America into North Korea. Nobody would believe you then, so I don't see how anybody would believe you now. Last story. The Roblox Corporation has lost $12 billion in market value and is now being sued by the state of Louisiana for catering to child predators. For those of you who don't know, Roblox is a platform that allows people, usually kids, to make their own online games, as well as play games made by other people. But unfortunately, whenever there is a large gathering of kids online, there is bound to be some predators. And Roblox is infamous for having a terrible moderation system. Exhibit A, an experiment that was conducted in late 2023 by a group of people who wanted to see if Roblox's reporting system actually did anything. A user named Ruben Sim and his team identified 200 Roblox accounts that had sexual language used either in their username or in their bio. I watched the documentary, and I won't tell you exactly the kind of things that these people saw, but let's just say that these users clearly didn't make their Roblox accounts so they could play kids' games. So, they reported half of these explicit accounts to Roblox, they left the other half untouched to serve as a control group, and they waited 72 hours. I'm gonna pause real quick and remind you that Roblox is very boastful about how well their system supposedly works. According to their official website, when you file a report, it usually takes just a few minutes for them to take action. So, this group surveyed 200 explicit accounts for 72 hours. Guess how many were deleted? Zilch. 0 accounts deleted. Guess how many of the reported accounts with inappropriate bios had their bios removed by Roblox? 10%. So yeah, Roblox's moderation team is really bad at their job. Which is why a user by the name of Schlep has made it his job to weed out the predators on Roblox and bring them to justice himself. In the past year alone, he's worked with law enforcement to get 6 predators arrested. Despite Schlepp's repeated attempts to contact Roblox, they have never reached out to him directly. Until August 9th, when they sent him a cease and desist letter. Here's a quote from it. While Roblox acknowledges that your stated intentions may be to protect children, and while it recognizes the serious nature of online predatory behavior, your methods, including failing to immediately report suspicious activity to Roblox through proper channels, are actively interfering with Roblox's established safety protocols and, critically, are exposing Roblox's users to increased risk. This response set the internet ablaze. Everybody started tweeting hashtag FreeSchlep, everybody canceled their Roblox premium subscriptions, and 4 days later, Roblox released a follow-up message on their blog. Quote, "We are sharing more information about why it was necessary to remove vigilantes from Roblox and the ways in which we review and act on reports of abuse on Roblox. While seemingly well-intentioned, the vigilantes we've banned have taken actions that are both unacceptable and create an unsafe environment for users. Similar to actual predators, they often impersonated minors, actively approached other users, then tried to lead them to other platforms to have sexually explicit conversations, which is against our terms of use." Well, if it's against your terms of use to have people try and convince others to chat on other platforms, why do you allow them to post their socials on their game pages? Like, I can go to any game on Roblox, any game you want, scroll down, and boom, there's their Discord link. So has this been forbidden this whole time? To paraphrase one of the YouTube comments I saw in the live-action Snow White trailer, the Roblox Corporation has achieved the closest thing to world peace by becoming something everybody collectively hates. Roblox is now being banned in Turkey, Oman, Qatar, and China because of this. A lawsuit has also been filed in state court by Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill. This is from CNN, quote, "Due to Roblox's lack of safety protocols, it endangers the safety of the children of Louisiana. Roblox is overrun with harmful content and child predators because it prioritizes user growth, revenue, and profits over child safety." In response to this, Roblox is finally starting to take down some of the most infamous games on its platform, such as Dollhouse Roleplay and Untitled Unmastered, the kind of games that actually allowed and encouraged players' avatars to participate in sexual activities. What's interesting is that, according to Roblox's public records, Matt Kaufman, the chief safety officer, actually earned a badge in most of these games, which means he joined them at least once before they were taken down. But a lot of these badges are a year old, which means that he and his team have known for months and months that these games exist, but only now are they deciding that they should be taken down. If you want to learn more about this story and how you can keep your kids and or other people's kids safe from the kind of things that Roblox is promoting, Schlepp recently uploaded a YouTube video covering all the latest updates, and I cannot recommend it enough. Sensitive topics are discussed, so viewer discretion is advised, but if you're willing to take the risk, it is very eye-opening. Before I go, I just want to give a quick little shout out to this commercial for Ram trucks that I've been seeing on YouTube. It is just, every time I see it on YouTube, it just puts me in a good mood for the rest of the hour. Take a listen.
Americans, we can do anything we want. Except one thing. We just can't stop being American. Because since that revolution they said we'd lose, we just couldn't choose to stop being American. We put Hemi V8s back on the strip and packed 8 layers in a 7-layer dip. We're body slams and blue suede shoes, rock and roll, jazz and blues. Rockin' mullets and Rat Pack suits, even our grandmas have tattoos. We're NASCAR, rock stars, rodeo, monster trucks and power boats. Welcome to our epic show. Keep winning on Sunday, move horsepower Monday, shake the earth and carve terrain, rock the anthem like Kenny Wayne. So get out there, take your swings, burn rubber after the American dream, rev your engines and let freedom ring, and never, ever, ever stop being American. Nothing stops America, and nothing stops Ram.
Who says Americans don't have any culture? The Low Grade Show is a Low Grade Studios original podcast, available on both Spotify and YouTube. If you want to check out more of my stuff, you can do so by going to lowgradestudios.com. That's LOGRAY studios.com. There, you will find links to all of my other social media sites, so while we wait for the next episode of this podcast to come out, you can check out some of my other stuff. I try to release a new episode about every month or so, but this episode took an extra long time to make, so it might throw off my schedule a little bit. So I don't know how long it's going to be before you hear from me again, so I highly recommend you press the follow button on whatever platform you're listening to this on. Until next time, my name is Luke Arnott, stay informed, and always check your sources.